Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. CLP Holdings makes an interim profit of over $5 billion and forecasts an easing in electricity prices. Road closures paralyze morning traffic in West Kowloon and large areas of Hong Kong Island. And Hong Kong wins another fencing gold at the World University Games in Chengdu. CLP Holdings said Hong Kongers can expect an easing in energy costs in the second half of the year. This came as the power supplier posted a net profit of over $5 billion for the first half of this year. Chloe Fong reports.
A dependable performance of its core businesses in Hong Kong and the mainland helped CLP Holdings post a net profit of $5.06 billion for the first 6 months of 2023. A sharp contrast with the record $4.85 billion loss last year. Electricity sales climbed 3.7% between January and June, partly because of the hot weather. CLP Chief Executive Richard Lancaster signaled easing costs in the coming months following the recovery in business and supply.
We saw a very turbulent year in 2022 with energy prices spiking just immediately following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and that caused a huge demand to replace Russian oil, gas and coal. In the first half of 2023, we've seen a steady softening of prices as those energy sources are gradually replaced. So in the absence of any other shocks, we would expect to see, over time, we would see a gradual softening of energy prices.
The group's chief executive designate TK Chiang added that fuel costs per unit of electricity was reduced from 62 cents in January to 57.1 cents in August, representing a 2.3% decline. With consolidated revenue decreasing by 9% to $43.3 billion, the board declared a second interim dividend of 63 cents per share. CLP said it will have discussions with the government in the coming months on the interim review of the Scheme of Control Agreement. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
The Department of Justice is not giving up on its bid to seek an interim injunction against unlawful acts related to the protest song Glory to Hong Kong. The Court of First Instance dismissed its application last month on the grounds that the injunction would overlap with existing criminal laws and lead to double jeopardy. A Department of Justice spokesman confirmed that it has filed an application for leave to appeal, stressing the need to put forward views, but did not specify what they were. He insisted it is the constitutional duty of the Justice Minister to safeguard national security. Dozens of camp goers have been sent to hospital following a bout of food poisoning. Some were taken to Netherthal Hospital in Tai Po this morning. They were among 72 members of a Christian church in Sham Chang who signed up for a 3-day event at the Jockey Club Duke of Edinburgh training camp. It is believed 44 of them began to vomit or suffered diarrhea after having spaghetti carbonara for dinner last night. 10 ambulances were sent to the campsite to take them to 4 hospitals. 34 have been discharged as of noon. Traffic in West Kowloon and large parts of Hong Kong Island were paralyzed this morning following several road closures. Commuters in Aberdeen were left to fend for themselves after road transport was turned upside down. It was a nightmare for commuters using the Western Harbour crossing this morning. What used to be a speedy 5-minute journey became more than an hour long after island-bound lanes were intermittently sealed off. The electronic toll system, which was only put in place yesterday, could not remedy the situation either. At 9 a.m., the tailback stretched all the way to Hoi Lai Estate in Lai Chi Kok, 4 kilometers away. Even if motorists made it to the toll plaza, those heading to Central and Wan Chai still had another 4 kilometers of congestion ahead. Eastbound traffic on the Central Wan Chai bypass was severely disrupted during the morning rush after a motorcycle collided with a sport utility vehicle near Rumsey Street at 8 a.m. The motorcyclist was thrown to the ground and remained conscious as he was treated at the scene. The situation worsened after a fresh water main burst underneath Wong Chuk Hang Road some 8 kilometers away. It happened at around 4 a.m., but emergency repairs lasted through the morning, paralyzing traffic towards the Aberdeen Tunnel. Swarms of vehicles from the south side were diverted to Western District, exacerbating the congestion there. Aberdeen residents were hit hard by the double whammy, as they waited for up to 50 minutes for a bus. Some of them resorted to sea transport by taking a ferry to Ap Lei Chau, where they could hop onto an MTR train towards Admiralty. More than 400 Hong Kong scouts are among the 40,000 teenagers streaming out of South Korea after their World Jamboree was cut short because of an approaching typhoon. The event in the southwestern town of Buan opened last week and was originally scheduled to close on Saturday. But with Typhoon Kowloon expected to affect South Korea in the next few days, the organizers decided to take precautions. The Scout Association of Hong Kong said its 460 delegates will return home by Wednesday. Earlier, thousands of American and British scouts left the Jamboree because of the sweltering heat. Tension is escalating between Beijing and Manila following a maritime incident in the South China Sea. The Chinese ambassador to Manila was summoned to the Department of Foreign Affairs, the DFA.
DFA firmly asked China to, 1, direct its vessels to stop their illegal action against Philippine vessels and to stop interfering in legitimate Philippine activities. 2, comply with its obligation under international law.
Manila accused a Chinese Coast Guard vessel of using a water cannon to stop a Philippine supply ship at the second Thomas Shoal. In response, Beijing told Manila to remove a grounded warship from the disputed waters. Niger's new military rulers has shut its airspace, citing the threat of foreign military intervention. This comes after the expiry of a deadline by other West African states, ordering Niger's army to return to the barracks. Azam Khan reports.
Niger's coup leaders have closed the country's airspace, accusing their neighbors of preparing to invade. General Abdourahmane Chiani, who led the military takeover last month, alleged a pre-deployment of forces in 2 Central African states. He did not give details, but pointed the finger at the regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. The group, led by Nigeria, has warned of intervention if the junta doesn't hand back power to President Mohamed Bazoum, who's under house arrest. ECOWAS has the backing of France and its Western allies, but a military response is complicated. 2 ECOWAS members, Mali and Burkina Faso, are under military rules following recent coups and back Niger's junta. Guinea also expressed support for the coup. All 3 states, like Niger, are former French colonies. The coup has further complicated the situation in West Africa, where militant groups have been on the rise in recent years. There's been widespread support in Niger itself for the coup, with many people accusing France and other European Union members of economic exploitation. Niger has ended its military agreements with France, which still has 1,500 troops in its former colony. Western countries fear that Niger's military will stop supplying them with uranium and gold. Azam Khan, HKIBC.
A massive rescue effort has ended after a train derailed in southern Pakistan, killing at least 30 people and injuring more than 90. Women and children were among the casualties when 10 carriages overturned, trapping many people inside near the town of Nawabshah yesterday. The train was traveling from Karachi to Rawalpindi. The military joined locals and rescue workers who toiled around the clock to free victims from the wreckage. Deadly accidents are common in Pakistan because of poor infrastructure and safety standards. India's opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has been reinstated as a lawmaker after the Supreme Court suspended his conviction in a criminal defamation case. The move clears the way for Gandhi to contest the national elections scheduled for next year. A case was filed against him 4 years ago when he remarked that all thieves are surnamed Modi, indirectly referring to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Gandhi was convicted earlier this year and lost his parliamentary seat, but he was granted bail to appeal against his conviction and 2-year jail sentence. HSBC's head of public affairs has hit out at the United States and Britain over its attitude towards China. Sherrod Cowper-Coles accused Washington of forcing London to reduce its business dealings with Beijing, and he criticized Britain for being weak and not standing up to the US. Cowper-Coles later apologized for his remarks, which were made in a private meeting, adding that he was expressing his views and not the bank's. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day almost flat. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent was down $2.20. Alibaba was up 45 cents, while Meituan was up 70 cents. AIA Insurance was down 5 cents, while Li Auto was up $4.80. The forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.57. 1,000 Japanese yen will get you 54 Hong Kong dollars, while the Australian dollar is at 5.13. Over in Europe, the London FTSE is currently down 35 points. Finally, the weather. A very hot and sunny day tomorrow with a few showers for relief. Temperatures will range between 28 and 33 degrees. Expect the mercury to stay high through midweek. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Monday night. And join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Good night.